Alweeni, goedemiddag, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a momentous occasion in the cycle of politics and administrations, and we now move to the seventh administration of the Western Cape government. And it is my honor and privilege to stand here before you all today, having been elected, first of all, by the citizens of this province and then by our parliament a short while ago. And Judge, thank you so much for presiding over the election of all of our MPLs, our members of the provincial legislature or members of the provincial parliament who are elected by the citizens of this province. Our parliament represents all of the citizens of our province. And of course, that parliament also voted for myself as Premier, and it is an absolute honor and privilege to be able to stand here to be re-elected. And you can't take that for granted. It is not always in democracies around the world easy to get another term, and especially to get a second term where the citizens give you the same number of seats in Parliament as you had in the previous term. That makes the responsibility, in my eyes, even greater. And of course, in an environment where our politics is quite changed. If I think about the politics of South Africa 5 years ago and the politics of South Africa today. And while I stand here as a newly elected second-term Premier, and we are here to swear in those ministers who are going to be serving the citizens of the province on behalf of this government over the next 5 years. At the same time as we stand here with a majority government, there are not so many majority governments in our province at provincial level as we had 5 years ago because of the change in politics in South Africa. And of course, I'm not even going to venture into what's going to happen on Friday and the new politics of our national government and how we as a country are moving from 30 years of democracy into our next 30 years, should I say, broken up into 5-year bites. And we have an interesting political landscape. For me, it is actually very exciting. I look at what's happening in South Africa and I look at what's happening around the world. And it's quite interesting in world politics. And of course, we've seen billions of people around the world going to the polls and still going to be going to the polls this year, and new governments being formed. And it's quite interesting how populism and nationalism and building of walls and separation of countries seems to be what happens around the world. I think in our country, for me, it's quite exciting where we are right now, as to say, are we able to not move to the right or left? Are we able to build a much more liberal center over the next 30 years? And I think there's a huge opportunity in our country. And that means there's a huge responsibility in this province, every single one of us. And before I talk about the election campaign, I want to talk about the end of term. I'm holding up the document. You should rather download it because climate change is a big issue for us. But the report of delivery in this province over the last 5 years. I'm super proud of this document. I'm super proud of this document on behalf of all of the ministers and the legislators that served the citizens in the previous term. And this is our challenge into the new term. We've got to take this document and build on it. Because there is no doubt that crisscrossing this province in an election campaign, and election campaigns are humbling happening. You are in people's homes. You're on the doorstep. You are knocking on doors. You are speaking to citizens. And we might be saying, DG, that we're proud of what we've achieved, but you pick feedback from those citizens up that is going to influence this government going forward. That is going to be the narrative in our first Bosporot when we get together to say, we have a plan, and we're going to continue with this plan on jobs and on safety and on dignity and well-being, on innovation and good governance. We're going to keep that going. But I promise you, we've got a whole lot more homework that the citizens gave us when we crisscrossed this problem. And every one of us that are going to be elected here to represent those citizens in this government as a minister, we have to take those messages in to our strategies and our ministries, and of course, our departments. Perhaps there I must move on that this could not have been delivered by the politicians alone. This gets delivered by our administration. And DG, you and our heads of department that are here today, but all 90,000 of our administration, every single one of those officials that wake up every single day, going to work in service of the citizens of this province. We have to thank for what we did in the last 5 years. And we also have to prepare them for doing more. We are going to have to do it because our citizens have asked that of us when we met with them. And so, as we move into this next term, it is for me an absolute honor to be able to call up the new ministers of this administration. And so I'm going to call them up one by one. I'll say one or two things about them and ask them if they wouldn't mind coming and standing here behind me. And so the first minister that I'm to call up is my provincial leader in the Democratic Alliance. He was the Minister of Infrastructure, and he still is the Minister of Infrastructure, Minister Simmons. I want to say to you, thank you very much for your political leadership. Thank you very much for standing alongside me in this campaign and for helping us get to where we've got to get the mandate from the citizens. And we played a key role. And Minister Simmons has already shown in the last 2 years that infrastructure and the building of this new Department of Infrastructure is a critical component of us building a better society in our province. The next minister to call up is Minister Alan Winde. I want to say Minister Winde, the Minister of Agriculture, is remaining in the Minister of Agriculture, but he is getting added to his portfolio, economic development and tourism. Mr. Winde also gives us clear direction in the linkage between Cabinet and our Parliament, and he has served us well as the leader of government business, but he also hands that baton over to Minister Simmons, who will be taking forward the leader of government business as we join our Cabinet to our Parliament, which is critical because if you get a separation between a Parliament and a Cabinet, that is hugely risky for delivery to the citizens of this province. It's a key linkage between Cabinet and Parliament. Next minister, who is also not changed in his portfolio, especially in the next 2 years as our evolving democracy moves towards local government elections, and it is critical that this is held continually the way that we have done it, but also a minister that's responsible for the environment, developing planning, Minister Anton Brill. And of course, when I say environment, right on the top of the list is climate change, because if ever there is a province or a region that feels climate change every single day, it is this region. Minister, please don't phone me this term as often on disasters as you phoned me in the last term. The next minister come up is Minister Anru Murray. Minister Marais has served us well in the past, but she's getting a brand new ministry. Minister Marais has shown us that she is a very caring person and lives that value in our government. We have a number of values, and some of us live certain values almost on our sleeve more than others, and Minister Marais does that. She served in this portfolio for a while in the last term, and especially going forward, we will continue with a fight to get more policing powers. But in the meantime, we have to carry on with building violence prevention programs across our departments and making sure we get to those young boys before they become gangsters, making sure we get to those young people that don't get drawn into drugs and that life. We need to make sure that Chrysalis continues to do what it does. We need to make sure that violence prevention really starts to take traction. It's a new component in our government, and this minister is going to be responsible for that. But of course, also responsible for our partnership with our municipalities and our lead officers. And Minister, you're responsible for police oversight and community safety. The next minister is also unchanged, a minister who has brought innovation into a big department, and that is Minister David Mania for Education. This is the government platform, but when you get to an election campaign, things it's hard to keep that separation. They get a bit blurred, and maybe it's after the election campaign, but Minister, we wouldn't be here without you because he was also the campaign manager. So thank you very much, Minister Mania. And of course, those innovations are critical, and especially catch up and reading with meaning. It is a key promise to the citizens of our province that we've got to get these things right. So you've got your work cut out for you, Minister. So congratulations. Another big department is the Department of Health and Wellness. And the two big departments, education and health and wellness, they're under tremendous pressure because we have slow growth in our economy. And these are the big budget items. And when the budget is under pressure, I promise you these departments are under pressure. That's why we have to innovate. That's why we've got to push these boundaries. And at the moment, in our schools and in our hospitals, the pressure is on. The queues are longer. The demand is more. And so in the Department of Health and Wellness, we have a new minister to take us forward, Minister Marais. Next up, a minister who is very energetic, a new minister in a department that is also a critical component of who we are as this province, the Western Cape. We're made up of getting closer and closer to 8 million citizens. We will be 8 million citizens in this province this term of office. And that is quite a scary thing because we've got to provide services for these citizens. And many of them come here because we offer them great opportunity. And this minister, who has been in the cabinet before, but gets a new opportunity as the Minister of Cultural Affairs and Sport. As I said, a very energetic minister, Minister Ricardo McKenzie. Some people call him the president of Mitchell's Plain. But congratulations, Minister. I look forward to seeing the things that you're going to bring about in our government over this next term. Next up, a brand new minister to our cabinet. It is an absolute honor and privilege to welcome him to this cabinet. This is Minister Isaac Salek. Isaac is someone who has served the citizens of this province at local government level, in executive office. He served the citizens of this province at the NCOP level. He's also served the citizens of this province in our Parliament. But now he has the opportunity to serve the citizens of our province as heading up the Department of Mobility. Mr. Peleko also has some major challenges, because if we are to get our economy going and are to change it, we've got to get this interlinkage between local authorities, province, between our economic departments and our citizens on how do you get to work, and how do you get to hospital, and how do you get to school, how do you move around. Mobility is a critical component, and that is why it is a standalone department in this government. So, Minister, good luck with your challenges ahead. Another new minister to our government is a minister who's taking over from someone who retired from this government in the last term, Minister Shana Fernandes. She had, she's served the citizens and stood down, and we wish her well in her retirement. And this new minister is also someone who has served at national government level. He's someone who leads politically across this province. He's someone who's very driven and is results driven, and someone who I am really looking forward to seeing the difference that he's going to be making in social development. A critical component of the government's responsibility to the citizens of our province, specifically the most vulnerable citizens of our province. You know, that safety net is critical. And we have other challenges. We have other challenges which are picked up in this election as how many more people are poorer in the last 5 years. It is unbelievable. We might have more jobs in households, but citizens are poorer. And that's where safety nets come in. That's where we've got to really care for our citizens. And that new minister is Minister Jaco Lot. And now, the second last one. Okay, I'm going to say last but not least. I'll talk about another one. But last but not least, a brand new Minister of Finance. Someone who has served in the trenches, in Parliament, someone who had a brand. I'm not to mention that brand. Her past brand of Budget Babe is now going to be Minister Babe. Or maybe let's lose the babe. But the Minister of Finance, a big challenge. But I really believe in giving opportunity to young people, and young people to shape the future of our next 30 years of democracy in our country. And it is critical that we do that. You know, in our political party, we have a program that is called Young Leaders. And it develops young leaders. And there are many young leaders in our government and in our parliament who've gone through this program. And this minister has also gone through preparing young people for major roles in our departments. And the new Minister of Finance in this government is Deirdre. The lawyering direction is probably going to be overtaken by the financial responsibilities. But I also have no doubt, Minister, we have to provide for our fair share of the budget. And as we have more and more citizens coming here for services, because this is a well-run government and a well-run province, you're going to be needing your lawyer side as well, because we are going to take on the division of revenue. And we are going to make sure that our departments and our citizens get their fair share of the budget. We don't want our unfair share, we want our fair share. The Minister, congratulations. You have a big task ahead of you, and welcome to the Cabinet. And so, in actual fact, I refer to them as ministers, but they're not actually ministers yet, because, Judge, you are going to need to swear them in. And once they've taken a second oath, they then become ministers. But I said there were two more ministers, and I want to speak to my own Minister of Home Affairs, to Tracy. Thank you very much to you and my family for allowing me to do what I do. The floor is yours. Thank you very much. If family members want to come forward to take a picture, yes, feel that we. We're going to get one of our photographers to take pictures of everyone, and then we will send that to the different family members and family.
En eerst laatstemmers weer trouw aan de Republiek van Zuid-Afrika in de provincie Weskaap en dat dit de nasionale grondwet, de provinsiale grondwet en alle andere rechten van die Republiek zal gehoorzamen, eerbiedig en handhaaf. En ik onderneem om mijn ambt als provinciale minister van die Weskaap met eer en waardigheid te bekleden, om een oprechte en getrouwe raadslid te wees. Geen zaken wat aan mij vir geheimhouding toevertrouw word, rechtstreeks of onrechtstreeks te openbaar nie. En die functies van mijn ambt met nauwgezetheid en naar die beste van mijn vermoë te verrig. So ja, my God.
Into the honorable minister.
Ek, Alan Henry Meyer, sweer trouw aan die Republiek van Suid-Afrika en die provincie van die Weskaap en dat ek die nasionale grondwet, die provinsiale grondwet en alle ander reg van die Republiek van Suid-Afrika sal gehoorsaam, eerbiedig en handhaaf en ek onderneem om my ambt as provinsiale minister van die Weskaap met eer en waardigheid te bekleed, om 'n opregte en 'n getroue raadslid te wees, geen sake wat aan my vir geheimhouding toevertrou word, regstreeks of onregstreeks te openbaar nie, en die funksies van my ambt met nauwgezetheid en na my beste vermoë te verrig. So ja, my God.
Ek, Anton Boljanam Bedel, vertrou in die Republiek van Suid-Afrika en die provinsiale Weskaap en dat ek die nasionale grondwet, die provinsiale grondwet en alle ander wet van die Republiek sal gehoorsaam, eerbiedig en handhaaf. En ek onderneem om my ambt as provinsiale minister van die Weskaap met eer en waardigheid te bekleed, om 'n opregte en getroue raadslid te wees. Geen sake wat aan my toevertrou word vir geheimhouding te openbaar, regstreeks of onregstreeks te openbaar nie, en die funksie van my ampt met nougesetheid en na die beste van my vermoë te verrig. So help my God.
Andriana de Tooi Marie, sweer vrou aan die Republiek van Suid-Afrika en die provinsie Wes-Kaap, en dat ek die nasionale grondwet, die provinsiale grondwet en alle ander reg van die Republiek sal gehoorsaam, eerbiedig en handhaaf. En ek onderneem om my ampt as provinsiale minister van die Wes-Kaap met eer en waardigheid te betree, om 'n opregte en getroue raadslid te wees. Geen sake wat aan my vir geheimhouding toevertrou word, regstreeks of onregstreeks te openbaar nie. En die funksie van my ampt met welgesetheid en na my beste vermoë te verrig. So help my God. Om te sweer.
I, John Mayne, solemnly affirm that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and the province of the Western Cape, and will obey, respect, and uphold the national constitution, the provincial constitution, and all other laws of the Republic. And I undertake to hold my office as Provincial Minister of the Western Cape with honor and dignity, to be true and faithful counsellor, not to divulge directly or indirectly any secret matter entrusted to me, and to perform the functions of my office conscientiously and to the best of my ability. I do.
I, Mary Winde, swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and the province of the Western Cape, and will obey, respect, and uphold the national constitution, the provincial constitution, and all other law of the Republic. And I undertake to hold my office as Provincial Minister of the Western Cape with honor and dignity, to be a true and faithful counsellor, not to divulge directly or indirectly any secret matter entrusted to me, and to perform the functions of my office conscientiously and to the best of my ability. So help me God.
I, Ricardo Denver Mackenzie, swear that I'll be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and the province of the Western Cape, and will obey, respect, and uphold the national constitution, the provincial constitution, and all other law of the Republic. And I undertake to hold my office as Provincial Minister of the Western Cape with honor and dignity, to be a true and faithful counsellor, not to divulge directly or indirectly any secret matter entrusted to me, and to perform the functions of my office consciously and to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Na Isaac Mbulelo Siliva, ndiyafunga ngokunganisekileyo ukuba ndiyakuthembeka kwiRiphabhlikhi yoMzantsi Afrika nakwiphondo leNtshona Koloni, kwaye ndiyakuthobela ndiwunike imbeko, ndiwuphakamise umgaqo-siseko wesizwe, owephondo kwakunye nayo yonke imithetho yale Riphabhlikhi, kwaye ndenza isibhambathiso sokuba isihlalo sam njengomphathiswa wepalamente yephondo, ndiyakusibamba ngembeko nondiliseko nesokuba ndiyakuba ilungu elithembekileyo nesokuba andisayi kudiza nantoni na elihlebo endithe ndayisingathiswa yona nokuba kungendlela ethe ngqo okanye engathanga ngqo, nesokuba ndiyakuwenza kangangoko ndinako umsebenzi wam ndincede thina.
I, Johan Jakelov, swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and the province of the Western Cape, and will obey, respect, and uphold the national constitution, the provincial constitution, and all other law of the Republic. And I undertake to hold my office as Provincial Minister of the Western Cape with honor and dignity, to be a true and faithful counsellor, not to divulge directly or indirectly any secret matter entrusted to me, and to perform the functions of my office conscientiously and to the best of my ability. So help me God.
I, Deirdre Modine Hodgman, swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa, the province of the Western Cape, and will obey, respect, and uphold the national constitution, the provincial constitution, and all other law of the Republic. And I undertake to hold my office as Provincial Minister of the Western Cape with honor and dignity, to be a true and faithful counsellor, not to divulge directly or indirectly any secret entrusted to me, and to perform the functions of my office conscientiously and to the best of my ability. So help me God. Thank you. Honorable Women's Congratulations.